Hi everyone, this is Tom Hammond from the tipsandyips.com. I am at Fantasy National Golf Club today and I'm going to look at their custom stat model. I use this every week to build a model to identify players that I like to see and use in my player pool. So you get to the custom stat model by going to View, Custom Stat Model. We'll go into Edit the Model. So when you get to Edit the Model, you will see categories here below. It'll come up blank if this is the first model you've ever built and you just hit Add Another Stat. So what you do, click Add Another Stat, and you can select from a long list. They have all different strokes gain categories, fantasy points, birdies and bogey categories, fairways and greens, greens and regulation, scrambling, sand saves, good drives, um, anything you can imagine. Par 3 efficiency, par 4 efficiency, par 5 efficiency, proximity from different distances, and putting. So this is for the Honda Classic this week. So some stats that I've selected. Strokes gained approach. When looking at the tournament history, found that this is a really important key stat for winners and cut makers. Fairways gained. Fairways are narrow here, hard to hit, so this is a driving accuracy category. That's important. Proximity from 175 to 200 yards. We found that this was the most common shot, second shot, approach shot at this course. So I want to give this a little weight to find guys that are good within this range. Bogey avoidance, not a low scoring course, so I want to make sure we don't get a lot of negative points from our lineups with high bogey variance guys. And greens and regulation. This was a hard course to hit the green in regulation, so I want to try to target some guys that can. Once you have your stats selected, you can assign them a weight, right? So I've kind of assigned them based on how I think they're important. This is something that I'll run a couple different times, tweak it a couple different ways to see how the results vary. So once you have this selected, you can hit Load My View. I will mention too, I have scoring relative to par, average and difficult, Bermuda greens selected. Something I always like to select is the greens. And then the wind conditions as moderate and very windy. So let's hit Load My View. You'll see these these blue lines here going. It's thinking. Give it a little time. It's parsing a lot of data, but we will generate fairly quickly here with the results based on that model. Thinking, still thinking. Okay, so as you can see, um, you have the player pool here. Here's your categories and weights. Always good to double check and make sure that. Then it gives their rank in that category across. And then it also gives their rank here. So right now, this is sorted by salary. But what I like to do is sort by the new rank. And it kind of identifies some guys. And it'll show you why they're playing so well. Okay, so bogey avoidance, Lucas Glover, green in all categories, right? Really good strokes gain approach in the last 24 rounds. Ryan Moore, Louis Oosthuizen, these are all guys I'll start liking. Jim Furyk, Adam Scott, he hasn't been playing well, but he's kind of coming into form. Bernd Wiesberger, some names you've heard on podcasts this week. Chris Kirk, William McGirt. So it gives you, it's a really cool option to kind of build and narrow your player pool. One thing I like to do, and you'll always notice from my articles, I listen to podcasts. So one thing I'll check is, are some names that I'm hearing on podcasts popping up? And if they should be, because then it gives you an idea that you're building a model similar to how the pros are building it, right? So if you're seeing some similar names, that means they're weighting the categories the same way. So I'll build this a couple different ways. You can go back, edit your custom model. Let's say, okay, I don't want to weight this quite as much. Let's bring proximity into play a little bit more. Let's take greens and regulations down a little bit, but bogey avoidance a little more. Load the view and see how it differs. So it's going to think again, go through the same process, and it'll bring up your new results. You might be wondering how I came up with the stats to identify. A couple different ways. So look at the past course conditions and the course breakdown. and I will use them to identify key stats for the week, as well as listening to different podcasts and hearing what other guys in the industry are using for what they like. So here we are again, right? Let's get my new rank here. Change things a little bit, and let's see how it changed. Not too much at the top, right, because we didn't vary too much. William McGirt moved down a little bit. Bern Riesberger moved down a little bit. Ricky's up a little bit now. So it's really cool to see. I'll run this, like I said, a million different ways. I'll use the same stats, but I'll kind of vary the percentages to just see how the model differs. And then I'll also change the sample size. I'll look at really recent form, mid form, and really long form. The long form gives you a nice baseline for how the player is historically. It's a good thing to look at just to get an identity of the type of players that you're looking for. And then recent form, I like to stick 24 rounds and under, just see how a player's playing now. Gives you a good idea of how they're going to be able to perform on this course, along with identifying some key stats over here to help you get a more accurate result. But like I said, don't narrow it down too much over here because then you're going to get too niche of a result. This is an awesome tool. I spend hours on this each week, tweaking and just getting an idea, building some lineups and seeing the guys that are popping multiple times. It's also nice to help you find some pivots. So from here, I'll favor a bunch of guys, right? Then I'll go over and look at the ownership and identify some good pivots that I might have based on my model and things that I like. And this has worked really well for me in the past to garner some serious GPP upside. So awesome tool at Fantasy National, probably the most used tool over here. Great option each week to get you started on your research and narrow down your player pool. All right, thank you for watching.